started and we'll go ahead and kick us off for summer 2026 Amplify DU recruitment training program. So, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's having a lovely week and a great Wednesday. For those who I have not had the pleasure of meeting or seeing, I know you've gotten emails from me. You've probably seen my name on different things. My name's Hayden Ron. I'm a 2016 University of Oregon graduate, where I was part of the Delta Upsilon chapter there at Oregon, helped to restart the chapter at Oregon, served as both vice president of recruitment and chapter president. Currently serve on the IHQ staff as our senior director of fraternity growth, where I oversee our growth team, our expansion, our growth strategy, our recruitment training, our educational program resources such as Amplify, our Leadership Institute Recruitment Symposium that will happen next month in Milwaukee, and a handful of other recruitment or growth related pieces. Also joined with me tonight and for the rest of the Amplify sessions are two of our growth team members, Chase Johnson, Boise State 2011, and Axel Hoagie, Arlington 2025. They will be kind of the back end logistics support, so they'll obviously make sure folks get into the waiting room. Axel's taking attendance, so again, appreciate folks for adding their name and chapter into the chat. And then they'll be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions that you want to make sure get answered before the end of the evening, feel free to go throw those in the chat. We will either answer those in live time, Axel and Chase will, or we will go ahead and answer those at the very end. So, want to again officially welcome you to our 2026 Amplify DU recruitment training program. 5 different webinar sessions. We also will have one-on-one recruitment coaching for chapters as well, and we'll dive into the rest of what Amplify DU offers between now and August. Tonight is really focused on 2 different things, helping you all as participants understand what Amplify DU is and what it's going to be able to offer you in your chapters as you prepare for the fall semester. And secondly, really setting the foundation when we talk about our philosophy of recruitment at Delta Upsilon. And so for some folks who I've had the pleasure of working with closely on the chapter recruitment coaching side of things, a lot of this will be something you've heard multiple times around what our philosophy is. For those, it's first time, speaking with me or coming to an Amplify session. This will hopefully not be necessarily fully new information, but it will be new information, and we'll dive into all of the pieces there. Couple just housekeeping items with Amplify. Again, there'll be time throughout the session where you can answer or ask questions. Go ahead and throw those in the chat. There's always time at the very end to ask any questions that you might have throughout the session. We'll also have recordings of this. So if you do want the recording of the Amplify DU session of any of the sessions, feel free to shoot me an email afterwards or tomorrow or Friday and just ask, and I can go ahead and send you the link once we get that converted. And then those will also be uploaded on our Amplify DU recruitment resources page on the Delta Upsilon website. Other than that, please feel free to invite anyone within your chapter or your advisory team to any of the Amplify DU sessions. Again, you don't necessarily need to have the same person every single time. That is highly recommended. But if for some reason you're on this call next week or on July 8th or our next webinar, you for some reason have a prior conflict, I do ask that you send somebody else from your chapter or your advisory team, and then obviously we can send the recording out afterwards. If you are free for all 5 of them, please attend all 5 of them. I think they're very informational. Try to be as detailed as possible and really trying to help you all between now and the start of the fall semester. So to jump in, I really like to first start off by talking about why Amplify DU. What's the purpose of it? Why are we putting this on? Why is it during the summer? We also do have a winter program, but our summer program is more in depth. There is a quote that I saw today, courtesy of Fired Up. Fired Up is really a fraternity and sorority life growth business and company that helps organizations and chapters and IFCs grow on their campuses. And the quote that they shared was chapters that show up ready in August didn't just get lucky, they did the work in June and July. And I think that really sums up why we do Amplify DU. Amplify DU is going on its 5th year, started in 2021 as a result of, chapters coming back to campus post-COVID and really trying to capitalize on what I would call what a lot of chapters see as a dead period this summer. By the time they end spring semester the time they start fall semester, there's a lot of dead time that chapters don't utilize, and Amplify is going to fill that space. Amplify is going to really allow for chapters to say, how do I show up prepared and ready to go come August, come the first day of the fall semester? And again, not just get lucky, but know that I'm prepared, I'm ready, my chapter's ready, and we have a good plan going into it. And again, that starts, as you see in this quote, that work starts this month in June, next month in July, and then as we head into August. Too often we've found chapters will say, hey, it's August 10th. We need to start thinking about primary recruitment. We need to start thinking about how we're going to be successful. And quite frankly, in today's day and age, it just is too late. So Amplify DU is here to really help chapters set up themselves for success and allow for themselves to show up ready to work in August and carry that momentum all the way through the fall semester there. What's included in the Amplify DU program? So again, 5 different webinars. So obviously tonight's our kickoff webinar talking about why Amplify, what's in the program, really understanding the program as a whole. We'll also talk about our philosophy of 365 recruitment. And then the next 4, July 8th, we'll dive into myth busting recruitment. So there's a lot of myths, a lot of things that I think chapters think that aren't necessarily true when we think about recruitment and how we recruit and what barriers we put up for ourselves. So we'll dive into that to help chapters and advisors better understand what's actually true and what actually is a myth, and we don't necessarily need to spend time and energy there. Our July 15th session will be all surrounded around planning recruitment. How do we best plan for successful recruitment, not just in the fall, but for the entire year? July 29th is really diving into how are we training our own chapter members for recruitment. That's a big piece to it. You all, as VPs of recruitment, recruitment committee members, recruitment chairs, advisors to the recruitment position, can get a lot of this information. How do we then go communicate that and train our members? Because we understand that recruitment is that chapter-wide effort and is a team effort, and folks need to ensure that that's happening. And then on August 5th, we are going to dive into how are we executing the idea of recruitment. We can sit all day. There's plenty of time or plenty of hours that we can spend talking about best practices and strategies and what we should do and the right text and the right follow-up and the right questions. But if we then don't understand how we go execute the work and execute being successful in that, then we're doing a disservice to ourselves and our chapter and our recruitment teams when we're thinking about how we actually are successful. And so August 5th is going to be talking about how are we executing that at a high level and allowing for our chapters to have the highest likelihood of success. Other 3 things are included. There'll be one-on-one coaching meetings throughout the summer with chapters. So you'll be assigned a recruitment coach. They'll reach out to you. That's a staff member, a member of our growth team. They'll reach out to you and start having, one-on-one meetings throughout the summer to really talk about chapter recruitment and what that looks like. Opportunities even next month at the Leadership Institute and the Recruitment Symposium to get that one-on-one coaching time as well with either myself, a staff member, or a expert alumni volunteer in the realm of recruitment. Similar to last year, there'll be the submission of a 2026-2027 recruitment plan. So you'll receive an email. We'll talk a little bit more about this later in the webinar. But you'll receive a template of a recruitment plan, and you will be asked and required to submit a 2026-2027 recruitment plan in August. So we obviously have that on file. We can share that with advisors. We can share that with chapter liaisons and other staff members there and follow along and make sure that you all are on the right page moving forward. And then the last thing is included, and again, you'll receive this in an email later this week, and we'll talk more about what that email will include later on tonight. You'll receive IHQ recruitment goals that we will provide. So IHQ's expectation of how many men you're going to recruit over the course of the 2026-2027 school year, and then your chapter membership health report, which we created last year to help chapters understand their membership health in the totality, looking at both the chapter size, the graduation years, year over year recruitment numbers, our retention rates, all of those pieces are going to be in there. And I think those are really helpful for chapters to look at and really understand what they need to be doing in different areas that they can address when it comes to specifically chapter membership. So, a big piece is also the importance of recruitment as we head into the new year. And I think there's 3 different areas that we want to hit on why recruitment is important. That's growth, impact, and opportunity. The first one is the growth of Delta Upsilon. It is the number one priority of staff and the number one priority of the board that Delta Upsilon grows, both as a fraternity and as chapters. And so, what Amplify is really trying to help chapters do is grow, right? We want to have sustainable growth. We want chapters to feel as though they're put in the best position to grow. And we want, obviously, Delta Upsilon to just have a bigger mark both on their campuses and just as a fraternity as a whole. And we believe that that happens when our chapters grow and when our chapters are bringing in high quality, high quantity individuals. The second piece is recruitment allows for better impact on communities. So when we recruit better, we become bigger chapters. We have the ability to be more involved in fraternity and sorority life. We have more ability to be involved in the campus and local communities, which is obviously then going to showcase who Delta Upsilon is as an organization. And then ultimately, that helps with our recruitment because we have more to share. We're meeting more folks. We're getting more individuals involved, and we're allowing for ourselves to be incredibly successful in that opportunity there. And the last piece that I really want to hit on is opportunity. It's an opportunity to develop, it's an opportunity to mentor, and it's an opportunity to ultimately live our mission of building better men. That's what recruitment's all about. Bringing in and being successful in recruitment allows the opportunity to develop more men into Delta Upsilon, allow for alumni and advisors to have more mentorship opportunities, and allow for students on our campuses or on your campus to become better men through Delta Upsilon, through our four principles of friendship, character, culture, and justice, through our educational program opportunities, and through our leadership development opportunities. So, what's our philosophy when we think about this? And I think this is a great place to start when we think about Amplify, when we think about recruitment. And most of you have probably heard this or you've seen this. If you've been in a conversation with me, you know I say this pretty frequently. But ultimately, people join people. And that is the root and the foundation of all recruitment. Yes, events are great. Yes, t-shirts are awesome. Yes, recruitment videos are fun to make and fun to watch. But ultimately, the reason that somebody is going to join your chapter, ultimately the reason that people are going to stay within your chapter, ultimately the reason you are going to be successful in recruitment as a chapter is because potential new members, those people are going to join the people and the members in the chapter. And so everything that you do when it comes to recruitment, remember, people are joining people. It's about relationships. It's about belonging. It's about understanding the individual. If we think back to your time going through recruitment, I can guarantee if I asked everyone on this call, why did you join Delta Upsilon on your specific campus? I would venture to guess that your answer is going to include something of in the realm of I met somebody within the chapter, this person, I connected with them, I could see myself being friends with them. I felt like they really um, they were individuals that I belonged to, that I could build community with, that I could grow with. And so I joined the person, right? I didn't necessarily join the chapter house. I didn't join because they had the coolest recruitment t-shirt. I joined that person or I joined those people, which ultimately were those chapter members. And so not only tonight when we talk about 365 recruitment, not only next week or 2 weeks from now or all the following webinars, every single time we're thinking about recruitment, think about how my members, how I am allowing for this idea of people to join people showcases within our recruitment strategy and within our recruitment plan. And ultimately, people join people through 365 recruitment and this idea that we are continually doing stuff every single day to better ourselves and to push the needle forward when trying to recruit new members into the organization, right? It's a lot easier through 365 recruitment for people to join people. And we'll talk here in a second because because 365 recruitment allows for relationships to be built over time. And it allows for us to constantly think about how we are building those intentional and strategic relationships with potential new members. So ultimately, what is 365 recruitment? I think what I've seen over the past kind of few years as this term has become more common is folks are understanding it a little bit better. What I like to start with is what 365 recruitment is not. 365 recruitment is not necessarily in a recruitment event every single day. It's not I'm giving out bids every single day. It's not I'm spending 2, 3, 4 hours every single day on recruitment for my chapter. What 365 recruitment is it's thinking about what I'm doing every single day, minimum 20 to 30 minutes a day to push the needle forward, to meet more potential new members, to plan a recruitment event, to post on social media, to talk and communicate with my recruitment committee, to update my names list. And ultimately, what it is it's thinking about what am I doing every single day to build relationships with a potential member of Delta Upsilon on my campus. We have to get out of this mindset that recruitment is just 2 to 3 weeks or a week and a half or a few days on my campus because IFC set something up for us, right? That model just isn't working anymore to the level that it needs to, nor is it going to allow for you as chapter VPs, as advisors, as you're helping your chapters out, really be successful or have the highest likelihood of success. And so 365 recruitment is really this mindset and philosophy that we are doing something constantly in trying to push the needle forward when it comes to recruitment. Best analogy I can give, and one of my favorite analogies I can give, is 365 recruitment is highly showcased in college recruiting. Now, we don't have the luxury of NIL. I wish we did. But when we think about how the best college athletic recruiters go about their recruiting of a potential basketball player, football player, baseball player, you name it, they're doing 365 recruitment. They're constantly building relationships. They're constantly thinking about how I'm finding the next person, how I'm understanding, is this person the right fit for me and am I the right fit for them? Right. And so we can take a lot and we can learn a lot from that college athletics recruitment mindset is that they're constantly doing something every single day to push that needle to find the highest quality of individual that they want to bring into their program and vice versa, that they're showcasing this is why you should come to my program. They're not waiting for 2 to 3 weeks prior to National Signing Day in September or February or March to start that recruitment process. They're doing it, you know, 2, 3, 4 years prior to that. And so we need to think about how are we doing this months prior to the actual bid day or the actual start of the semester. And so a lot of what we talk about at the DU level, a lot of what I talk about with chapters is what are you doing today that's going to allow for yourself to be successful moving forward within this 365 recruitment mindset and model. So why is 365 recruitment important? I think five different points here that are key points that really hit on, and hopefully that you're thinking about this. It provides consistent relationship building with potential new members. If I'm meeting somebody today on June 24th, and recruitment technically doesn't start until they step foot on campus, which isn't necessarily the case, but let's say they can't officially accept a bid until they step foot on campus, which again isn't always the case. It allows for me between June 24th and let's say August 24th to build a consistent relationship with potential new members. It doesn't what it's allowing for me to do is not wait until the first day of the semester to start building that relationship, but it's giving me the opportunity to do that well beforehand, which I think we can all agree with is going to build better opportunity for that individual to feel like they belong and want to join DU than if they waited until that August 24th to start building that relationship. Second one is it allows the chapter to find quality men over a longer period than through a handful of events and interactions. I think this is really important. I think when we think about recruitment in just the IFC primary recruitment mindset, we're trying to understand if this individual is the right fit and is the quality of individual we want to join our chapter based off a 2-hour Wing Wednesday event followed by a 1 hour alumni panel, followed by a 2.5 hour bonfire that the P&M just comes to for 45 minutes to an hour, right? Yes, I can probably figure out if that individual during those times is a high quality individual and marks off our criteria that we want within the chapter. But 365 is going to allow for me to do that even more in depth because I have more time to build that relationship. I have more time to understand, is this person somebody that can excel within DU? Is somebody that can be on the executive board? Is somebody that's not necessarily going to cause issues for the chapter? All the things that we're looking for when we're thinking about who do we want to invite into our chapter and into our organization. It also allows for the potential new member to better understand Delta Upsilon over a long period of time. So we're thinking about the potential new member here in this case, and 365 recruitment gives the P&M to say, hey, I'm feeling really comfortable about what the chapter does. Maybe he thought about Greek life, maybe he didn't. Maybe he has relatives in a different organization, but he's open to really exploring another organization, in this case, DU on the campus. And again, if I'm just focused on thinking that the PNM is going to understand Del Tucson fully based off just a handful of events or a handful of hours during IFC primary recruitment, um, then I'm probably not doing the best I can do to help that PNM understand Del Tucson to the level that maybe he needs to feel the most comfortable in joining, right? What it also does for the PNM is it gives them more comfortability to share the barriers, the challenges, or maybe the hesitations on why he wants to join Del Tucson, right? And so because I've built that relationship with somebody over time, that P&M is going to feel a little bit more comfortable to say, "Hey, I'm just a little bit hesitant around the time commitment," or I talked to my parents and they're not quite sure about the housing situation. If you guys have a housing requirement, or hey, I'm paying for school on my own. I think I can do it. What are some options with financial aid or scholarship that maybe the alumni or advisors can offer, right? When I've built that relationship over time through 365 recruitment, the PNM is going to feel more comfortable having those conversations rather than I just met this guy 2 events ago. It's easier for me to just say I'm not interested when in reality I am interested. I just don't know how to have that hard conversation. And it goes the other way, right? You, as the VP of recruitment, as a recruitment chair, as an advisor and an alum, are able to have some more of those sometimes awkward or challenging conversations with the PNM if I've taken time to build a consistent relationship. I now am able to talk to a PNM a lot more easy about uh, finances or about a housing situation, or I'm able to better talk about your experience going through recruitment because I have a good relationship with that PNM. And so again, 365 recruitment is really important in building that relationship for you to better understand and find high quality men, but also the PNM to better understand Del Tucson and for you all to have maybe some of those awkward or more challenging conversations that we may have during the recruitment process. The fourth is it sets the chapter up for success in reaching recruitment goals. When we're thinking about 365 recruitment, what this allows for us to do is say, hey, we're not just going to put all our eggs in one basket, in this case, in one semester, or put all our eggs in one 2 week period in the fall. It's allowing for us to say, hey, look, if for some reason we are not as successful from a recruitment goal standpoint during primary IFC recruitment in the fall, 365 recruitment is going to say, great, all primary recruitment's over. We're going straight into finding more guys outside of that, and we've got to ramp up our recruitment strategy or maybe tweak our recruitment strategy going into the spring. 5 years ago, even prior to that, when we were doing this, a lot of chapters would just say, "Oh, fall recruitment over the past 2 weeks didn't go very well. We'll try again next year." Right? Well, that's a bad mindset to have. 365 recruitment allows for the mindset to be great. Maybe I didn't have as much success as we wished we would have had as a chapter. 365 is going to allow for us to continue to push and then change some things, allow for us to continue the conversation, and then hopefully see some success throughout the rest of the fall semester or into the spring semester. And then the last thing keeps recruitment as a priority for the chapter year round and then for a short period of time. So, what 365 recruitment also does is it gives the VP of recruitment something to do continuously and allows for the VP of recruitment or the recruitment team to can be continually working on recruitment rather than just, again, that 2 week period or that 3 week period leading into recruitment, followed by the week and a half period of primary recruitment, and then recruitment's over, and now the recruitment team's saying, well, what do we do? Right. And so a lot of the times I would see vice presidents of recruitment finish fall recruitment or finish spring recruitment. And then at the next exec meeting, they'd say, we got 10 guys, they're going through new member ed. I have nothing else to report. Recruitment's over. Right. Well, that's because you're in this non 365 recruitment mindset. But if we are in the 365 recruitment mindset, we're saying, great, recruitment's over. We got 10 guys. They're doing new member ed. We're actually going to the next new member ed meeting and we're going to do a recruitment activity that's going to see who these 10 guys know. And we're going to ask that each of the 10 new members recommend three of their friends or three other guys on campus that might be unaffiliated that we can put on our names list and we can start reaching out to, right? Or we're going to do a dinner with the new members that we just got, and they're going to each invite one friend. So now there's going to be 10 new guys that we can recruit, whether it's for the fall semester or the spring semester, right? So it just puts a different emphasis on and mindset on what recruitment looks like continuously for the VP, for you as the VP, and for your recruitment committee. And then if you're an advisor, it allows for you to have very specific and continual phone calls with your VPs of recruitment and with your recruitment committee to say, great, primary recruitment's over. What are you doing in terms of continuous recruitment, 365 recruitment? How are you preparing for the spring? Are there any other guys that we can recruit in the next 10 days that we can have join our, class this semester that we can go make sure that they get initiated, right? So all of those things can start happening from an advisor standpoint rather than just this recruitment's over, we'll wait until next semester there. So what role does 365 recruitment play in 2026, 2027? Again, a lot of this will be overlap from what I just said. Allow for chapters to be recruiting consistently instead of just one semester or a few weeks of the semester. So again, some chapters might say, hey, we don't, really recruit in the fall. We just recruit in the spring. Okay, right? I hear you. I'm going to challenge that maybe you can bring some guys in the fall rather than the spring. And I know that who you are as chapters, right? And I would love to have that conversation. But also, what it does is it say, great, then what are you doing to prepare yourself for spring recruitment, right? What are you doing to prepare yourself for fall recruitment? There's a couple chapters out there, and I know you guys are here tonight, and I love that you're here that I've been working with and said, hey, what have you been doing since the end of spring to prepare yourself for the fall, even though spring's your primary period where you're going to bring in because you're on a deferred recruitment campus? There is a ton of opportunity in the 365 model to recruit upperclassmen or transfer students. And if you start doing that now, your fall semester can be a lot bigger than what it typically has been. And now we're setting the foundation for your chapter moving forward. That fall we recruit, maybe it's not as large as the spring, but we're still going to bring guys in. And then spring's going to be even bigger because we've been able to build those relationships there. It expands the chapter's reach and pipelines to students, P&Ms, student organizations. Again, you're just doing more outreach. You're just, by nature of it, building more relationships. So you just have more reach, right? DMing class of 2020, 30 guys or on Instagram, your reach just expands. Making sure that you're going to the different organization fairs throughout the year because you're a registered student organization and no other fraternity really thinks about it, but you're a fraternity that says, yeah, in the 365 model, of course we'll attend the student org fair for transfer students in January, right? Because that's going to expand our reach, right? If we're thinking about 365 mindset in terms of presence and how we go meet just more students, it's going to expand our reach and pipelines within different student organizations. This student organization is hosting this event, and so we're going to have a couple brothers attend just to build that relationship. And who knows, maybe there's a few guys in that organization that are wanting to come join Del Zone or at least have some interest there. And we wouldn't be doing that if we're not in the 365 recruitment mindset there. It doesn't limit the chapter in recruiting and puts the chapter in a position to recruit more diverse and quality individuals from across campus. So, what does this mean? If we're not in the 365 mindset or philosophy, we're limiting ourselves to who we can bring into the chapter because we're just focused on what I would call those always joiners who are going to register for IFC recruitment, who are going to show up to IFC events, who are going to show up to the Meet the Greeks event in August, whatever the case may be. When you have a 365 mindset, it's going to diversify who your pool is, right? It's going to increase the quality because what it allows for you to do is go find those maybe two um, somewhat joiners, right? So those individuals who just need to be asked, all they need to do is say, hey, would you be interested in joining fraternity and sorority life? There are a ton of guys out there on your campuses who just need to be asked if they would be interested in at least showing up to an event or going to dinner or going to lunch or joining you guys at the gym, right? And so when in the 365 recruitment mindset allows for that to happen because we're now no longer just focused on the guys who are going through IFC recruitment. We're focused on other individuals as well on campus who might think about recruitment, but they don't necessarily want to go. I was one of those guys who I was never going to just show up to a recruitment event. I was never going to register for IFC recruitment. But it wasn't until somebody asked me, "Hey, would you be interested in learning more or meeting about Delta Upsilon?" Was I like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like I've always somewhat been interested in fraternity. I just was never going to take the first step myself. And somebody just needed to ask me. And so again, those guys are on your campuses, and 365 recruitment allows for that pool to be expanded and to find those individuals. Fourth sets the chapter up for great success, for greater success to reach recruitment goals. Again, goes back to what I said earlier. It allows for you not to rely on a handful of weeks, but rather the full year. Again, if we're just thinking, hey, recruitment's over on September 1st, because that's when IFC bid day is, then we're just not going to see a high likelihood of success there. But if we say, hey, yes, bid day is September 1st, but I'm going to continue to recruit and set myself up for success moving forward, then I'm probably going to see greater success as a chapter as long as I'm executing on other areas of recruitment, which we'll talk about this summer as well. And then the last, it capitalizes on the off times when people think of when it comes to recruitment. So it capitalizes on summer, it capitalizes on winter break. There are a lot of chapters who are just sitting around not doing anything this summer, and they think again they're just going to come prepared to get a huge recruitment class of high quality guys in August when they haven't put the work in June or July, right? I translate this to I coach high school basketball. The summer is the time that we are preparing our team and ourselves and my players to be ready come August, September, October, and then when the season starts in November. If we wait until October 15th or November 1st to start putting in the work, we're never going to win any basketball games. It's as simple as that, right? It's the same thing with here. If we're not putting the work in today, next month, the beginning of August, if we're not putting the work in November and December and early January, we're probably not going to see the success that we want to see. But if we're putting the work in and we're doing things that we're supposed to be doing and we're being consistent in that work and we're executing at the level we need to and we're asking questions and we're using our advisors and you're reaching out to the growth team during those off times, you are going to be prepared come August, come January, February during spring recruitment to have a strong recruitment and to find the individuals that you want to. We've seen it. There's chapters on this call that I know it's been a success for, and they've seen really good growth over the past 18 months, 24 months because they put the work in the off time because they really adapted this philosophy of 365 recruitment. All right, I'll stop there. Are there any questions? I see the chat here, not sure. Okay, just there. If there's any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat about 365 recruitment or anything I said. And obviously we can get to those at the very end, and or Axel or Chase will be able to go ahead and answer those for you. Few things that I do want to kind of close with what to expect this week when we think about Amplify. So by Friday, it most likely will come Friday. I'm working on them right now. I've got 64 chapters I got to get through. And so appreciate your patience as we're working through this. You're going to receive an email from me. The email is going to include three different things. It's going to include your IHQ recruitment goals. So for those who are not aware, some of you on this call are aware because you've been prior VPs or have been on the recruitment committee or we've had discussions. Every year, headquarters sets recruitment goals or recruitment expectations. It will all be outlined in the email. There's two different goals you'll see. There'll be a base goal, which is the base expectation that we expect the chapter to achieve over the course of the 2026-2027 school year. There then will be a stretch goal. And so we expect the chapter to be within that range. We always encourage chapters to go above that range if it's something that they think is feasible and something that they want that they can attain. And we can always have those conversations there. And those goals are a collection of a lot of different data points. We look at previous 3-year recruitment history within the chapter. We look at average chapter size on campus. We look at where you are at in the Men of Merit standards. We look at year over year. Are you guys decreasing? So we need to push those goals a little bit so we can bring the chapter size back up. We look at projected size, right? So how many guys can we project moving forward within the next year, and how does that influence the recruitment goals there? Again, it's all outlined in that email for you, but you'll receive that. You'll then receive your chapter membership health report. So every chapter gets a health report. It will go over or have six different sections. It will go over what your chapter membership is. What does that compare to year over year? What's the average chapter size on your campus? We'll look at how many associate members and initiates been reported. What does that retention rate look like? You'll get a breakdown of your class year. So, based off our records within our database, how many of your 50 members are uh, seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, right? And so it gives us a good mix of saying, hey, we have a lot of upcoming graduating seniors. So obviously that will influence our entire membership and potentially our recruitment. We look at do you have advisor support? We then also share and look at how many guys in your chapter depledged, resigned, were expelled. So sometimes that can tell its own story there. But I think really hopefully useful for chapters to look at and just get a better picture of membership beyond, hey, we recruited really well last year. That's great, but did we retain those guys? Did we grow in chapter size? How do we compare to other chapters on our campus? And then the last thing is you'll get the template for the 2026-2027 recruitment plan on August 7th is the deadline to return that recruitment plan and email that back to me. We then review that. There might be follow-up questions for chapter VPs or recruitment committee members based off that plan. And that allows for us to then have more in-depth and strategic and intentional conversations. I do encourage you with that plan that you create and that strategy, work with your advisors, work with your alumni, work with your recruitment committee. Make sure that when you have that plan complete, that that's being shared with everyone so everyone's on the same page and they're understanding. Little lesson that we learned last year, like take time to actually really put in the work there, right? And if you have questions about certain things, please reach out and please ask, and we'd be happy to clarify those different pieces there. I think just based off last year, I think the groups that really put the work in to sit down and really go through the plan in the way that it should be gone through, and they were intentional and they were strategic and they put the time in, they felt more comfortable and more confident executing that and putting in the work and hitting their benchmarks and hitting their goals than the groups that said, oh, it's August 5th. I need to start doing that recruitment plan. And so you'll get those constant reminders from us, but definitely get started on that this week once you get that, and then that will be due by August 7th. And so, with that, do want to leave some time at the end to see if there are any questions. Feel free to throw those in the chat or come off mute. So, I'll give everyone just kind of a few seconds here to see if anyone has any questions. All right. So hearing none or seeing none, I just want to thank you for attending our first session. Again, we got four more. The next four will really go a lot more in depth on different areas. If you ever want to set up a time to chat specifically about your chapter or have a one-on-one coaching time, please feel free to shoot me an email or shoot me a text. Always happy to chat on the phone, always happy to set up a Zoom meeting. If you're a chapter advisor or a vice president of recruitment, you say, Hayden, I'd also like to potentially set up a virtual webinar or a virtual facilitated training session with other guys within my chapter or my entire chapter prior to recruitment, please email me or text me. I've done that with a handful of chapters. We get on Zoom. It's about 30 to 45 minutes. I facilitate a training for the entire chapter. So that's something that I can definitely do for you as well. But again, really excited for this year of Amplify, really excited for what 2026, 2027 has in store for you all as VPs and for you all as chapters, and really looking forward to you all continuing to develop and have this mindset of 365 recruitment, and looking forward to our next four webinar sessions. And hopefully for those who are attending our Leadership Institute, looking forward to seeing you there on Friday for our recruitment symposium. And we got a lot of good stuff that's happening that weekend when it comes to recruitment. So looking forward to being able to provide that resource. But again, really appreciate it. Thank you for being here tonight. Hopefully everyone enjoys the rest of their Wednesday, and we'll see you on July 8th.
Thank you.